Hey guys, Kelly Jackson here, Classroom Organization and Management Coach from the Simply Organized Teacher. And if you've been following along on the blog or on Instagram or on my email, all month I've been talking about small group teaching because about a month and a half ago I had our district's math interventionist come in and model a lesson for me in small group teaching in math. And math is a struggle for me, small group teaching wise. It's just, I hate stations, to be honest, so I try to avoid it. So anyway, she came in, she modeled this lesson for me, and it went great. And ever since then, I've been hooked on small group teaching, and I think most teachers feel probably the way I did only a month ago, just overwhelmed and stressed by how do I facilitate this stations going on, the independent work, while small group teaching is happening? How do I plan for small group teaching when I'm already planning for all these other things? How do I coordinate? How do I organize the movement and the routine of stations and small group teaching? Lots of questions around it. So I'm going to show you how I organize my small group area today. So the first thing that I would say when you're organizing and wanting to implement small group teaching in your classroom is to come up with a designated area for where you're going to do that at. And so everything back here is related to small group teaching. So you can see I have these white cabinets back here. I'll show you a closer up of them. But what I wanted to show you is that I have these two white trays that I use to organize. There's one for language arts and one or guided reading, and then one for math. So whatever I'm working on that week, I'll just slip the papers right in there. So everything back here is directly related to small group teaching. Of course, I've got all my cute little pictures and all that because this is my area, but I've also got all of my teaching supplies. So my pens and my pencils and tape and sticky notes and all that stuff. And then you can see down here in my white cabinets, I've got some resources that I use pretty frequently. My pens, pencils, markers, all organized in a bin. And then you can see the two white sets of drawers right here. The one on the left houses all of my math paperwork. So I've got things in there like hundreds charts and clocks to tell time with, any kind of paper materials I could use. I've got my Whisper phones for guided reading. And then over on the right, I've got drawers for comprehension, fluency, and phonics during guided reading. And then right here, I have two drawers that house my math manipulatives and my guided reading books. So you can see there's my whiteboards for math small group teaching. And then within here, I've got, it kind of looks like a mess, but believe it or not, it's actually organized. I have one of those clear plastic IKEA trays. You can kind of see the pieces down here. So I have things grouped by like items. So shapes, place value pieces, fractions, and place value blocks. And then this one down here houses all of my guided reading materials. So any books that I'm reading with the kids, I keep down here. And then timers and letters for phonics. So that's what I keep down there. And the last thing I want to show you when it comes to small group teaching is how I organize my plans for the different groups that I'm meeting with. Small group teaching is different from intervention. I think I initially thought that small group teaching also needed to be when I'm intervening with my kids, and it can't be that way because there's some kids that I would never make it to where we're supposed to be because they are still missing some of the foundational things. So I keep moving on in my small group teaching. However, I'm intervening with them during morning work or whenever I have a free moment, really. But I'm intervening with them whenever I can find time. So I have a binder. I keep my two binders right here in this white cabinet. I've got a binder for interventions. So this is where I keep notes of what interventions I'm providing for them, RTI data and paperwork. So I've got a binder for all that. But then I also have a small group binder. And this is a binder where I've got it split into reading and math, and this is where I keep all my plans for each day and what I'm going to do with my small groups. So I've got a format that I use for guided reading with each of my groups, what I'm going to be working on with them, and then a spot for notes. And then I have the same thing for math back here. Because I'm still trying to figure out math, I'm still kind of piloting a few different small group note forms, planning forms, but essentially I have each class that I teach and then each group and what I'm going to do for them each day on here. Another thing that I've mentioned is that when I'm planning for my small group, especially in math, I think guided reading is a little bit easier to plan per group and work on their levels. Whereas math, because this is my math instruction, I'm taking my plans that we come up with as a team, and they're right here in the middle. They are for my bubble kids. They are for all of the kids in my class. It's what I would teach whole group. And I'm in my planner, in my small group plans, I'm bumping that lesson up for my high group. So how am I going to make this? How am I going to enrich this? How am I going to add an extra layer of challenge for them? But then I'm taking those same plans and I'm bringing them down a little bit for my lower groups. Okay, maybe I'm going to stretch this out over 2 days, or maybe I won't go up to 3 digits. I'll stick to 2 digits. So I'm taking the plans that my team is already working on, so I'm not wasting that time there, and then I'm just modifying it up and down to meet each of my kid groups. All right, you guys, so that's it. That is how I'm doing small group. In a nutshell, of course, there's way more that goes into it, but there's just a few little tidbits that you can take and try and implement in your classroom. So thank you for watching this video. Give me a thumbs up if you found it informational. Share it with somebody that you think is wanting to try small group teaching, or leave me a comment with a question or a thought that you have. I'd love to communicate with you and talk with you about small group teaching.